Every weeknight begins with responsible, penetrating coverage of today's vital issues. ABC News.
Hello and welcome to ABC Nightly News. I'm your host, Casey Tawa, and we've got a good story for you tonight. Yesterday, May 8th at 12 p.m., a shocking event happened in New York City. A group of people gathered at 7:30 a.m. yesterday in memorial of the 4 Kent State students who were shot and killed on May 4th. By late morning, there were around 1,000 peaceful protesters gathered, then at the Federal Hall National Memorial. The protesters were demanding an end to the war in Vietnam and Cambodia when Peter J. Brennan, the president of the Building and Construction Trades Council of Greater New York and an avid supporter of both Nixon and the war effort, heard about the scheduled protest. He organized a counter-protest of 200 of his own construction workers. At 11:45, Brennan's workers were ready to riot and began to corner the protesters. Many of the rioters carried American flags and signs that read, "All the way USA" and "America, love it or leave it." At 12, the rioters pushed through the police line and began attacking the protesters. Brennan's rioters were armed with hard hats, steel-toed boots, and clubs, and when it was all said and done, more than 70 people were severely injured, including 4 policemen.
Good evening, my fellow Americans.
That night, Nixon called an emergency press conference to defuse the situation and expressed that he stood by the rioters and even invited a few representatives to the White House. We have exclusive content for you all tonight with interviews of Luke Potma, a man who's been a construction worker in New York City for over 15 years, and Ethan Coleman, a college student who was protesting yesterday, and I caught up with him on the scene about an hour after the riot yesterday, and we'll cut to that now. So Ethan, I know it was a really traumatic experience, but can you do your best and tell me what happened today?
Yes, me, my friends were all protesting, doing nothing wrong, and these construction workers broke through the barriers and viciously attacked us. We tried to fight back, but ultimately, we could do nothing. The police just stood there.
So how do you feel about how the police responded to this?
It was a horrible response. They could have handled it so much better than they did. They pretty much just allowed us to sit there and basically get beaten to death. We should not be over in Vietnam. It's a pointless war, and we should not be there.
Welcome back to ABC Nightly News. We got a special guest for you right now. This is Luke Potma, a man who's been a construction worker in New York City for over 15 years now and was a member of the riots yesterday.
All of us construction workers are really fed up with all of this nonsense and these anti-war, anti-America stuff. And we decided to put a stop to these protests. Those bums we beat up deserved it, and in times like these, we need to stand behind our country.
But what about the First Amendment, sir? They were only peacefully protesting.
People are laying down their lives for this country, and to be protesting their hard work for this great American country is to only be disrespecting them.
Thank you, Luke. Well, that's all the time we have for you tonight, folks. I'm your host, Casey Tawa. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow night.